how'd you end up finding your way to specializing in short sales? And maybe if you want to run into that, backing up a little bit further, how'd you get into real estate to begin with?
Yeah. So when I graduated college, I was selling tires. I was a corporate tire salesman.
All
I
right.
was probably yeah, I was miserable every day waking up. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was always interested in real estate. I was probably the worst employee on the face of the planet. I
You were
was just
tired of being
so
the Michelin man.
I just couldn't do it. I was bad at it too because my heart wasn't in it. I'm just an
Yeah.
entrepreneur at heart. So got my real estate license while I was selling tires. And then the second I passed the exam, I just quit. I jumped cold turkey into real estate just as an agent, not necessarily like I always knew I wanted to be an investor and get involved on the investment side. But just to start, I was an agent. Like any new agent, I was running around chicken with my head cut off, just trying to strum up business. And I started randomly landing on short sale listings. I had no idea how, it was just random. So I learned how to do it, Chris, just through trial and error. And then I realized this is a huge pain point. I need a niche anyway, because I didn't have like an actual niche that I was noted for. So it was kind of just a perfect storm. I specialized at a local level in short sales. 2019 rolls around and I rolled it out nationally.
Yeah. There's a saying, riches in the niches, the middle is
100%.
crowded. So if you can find that pain point, it's almost this cross section. It's high value, but also high pain. So it's not that people won't go there. It's just they don't like to, and you're going to find fewer folks there. So if you can absolutely own it and be an expert in it, which you have, it creates a huge business opportunity. And yeah, you've done well with that.
Yeah, for sure. Riches in the niches. I love it.
So from homeowners and agents that are representing homeowners, what should they consider before ever even going down the short sale process?
That's a great question. So you need to consider what I like to say to sellers, I love to ask the question in a perfect scenario, what is the end result if you could have your way? And if the answer to that question is I'm just out from under this mortgage, I don't care about making money, I could just move on with my life and avoid foreclosure. If that's the answer, then a short sale is for you. If that's not the answer, for example, maybe you don't really care that much if you have a foreclosure. Maybe your main motivation is to make a couple bucks. If that's the case, I'd say don't do a short sale.
Yeah, and the first example you gave, that was the situation with my client. Like he was just like, "Get me out of this. Like
Get me
I
out
just
of
want to get
it.
out.
Yep.
Yeah, not have a bag. I don't care what else happens after that. Like just get me out." And you were able
Yep.
to do that. So in those kind of situations where you do get them out, and obviously it's below what they owed. Um, does that impact their credit going forward, or is there something that's going to do they still owe that balance? So say in the example you had before, there was a $50,000 gap. Do they have to pay that back? Is that on their credit? Is it loss? How does that work?
So what you're referring to is the deficiency. Just to
Yep.
back up and go back to my example I gave before to paint the picture. I owe 550,000. I sell my house for 500 via short sale. The $50,000 balance is a deficiency in a short sale. If the short sale is done correctly, in that short sale approval letter, the first thing I train my staff to do, we open it up and we look for the lender to put in writing that they're waiving their right to collect the deficiency,
Okay.
which again is that 50K in that example. As long as that's in writing, you are not on the hook for that $50,000.
So if that is not in writing, then by default, they can go after you for that extra 50. It's not that they would, but it'd be safe to assume that they're probably going to.
They could absolutely come and sue you for that deficiency, that
Yeah.
balance. So
In
you
worst case,
always
really wreck your credit for quite a long time.
So that's another question. The credit is a little bit different. There's a lot of people that want to convince people to do short sales and they'll say, save your credit, do a short sale. I see this all the time. It's just not true. There's no perfect situation where you could do a short sale and save your credit. A short sale does have a negative effect on your credit.
Okay, so that shows up on there?
Absolutely. But the biggest benefit is the way it's recorded. So obviously, if you foreclose, it's going to say on your credit report, it's going to show as a foreclosure. In a short sale, if you complete a short sale, it shows as debt settled for less than amount owed.
Mm-hmm.
What that does, Chris, let's say I do a short sale, a year or two later, I want to go buy another house. So then my new bank pulls my credit history. That's going to send a message to my new creditor that, hey, Bob, slipped up, fell on a short-term hardship a year or two ago, but he made it right. He figured out a way to get his old lender as much money as possible, and then he didn't just let the property foreclose. So it just makes you look like a much better borrower having done a short sale compared to a foreclosure.
Okay. And what about the other situation, like the not so good way it shows up on your credit?
So it's going to deduct points from you. There's no situation where you do a short sale and it doesn't ding your credit. So if you have a perfect 800 credit score, it's going to bring it down a couple of 100 points.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, being delinquent on your mortgage alone is definitely going to ding it, but
absolutely.
I'd imagine it's far less impactful than a foreclosure.
Agreed.